All right.
All right. Okay. So, all right, here we go. Blooper take 1. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Xander Sprague from xandersprague.com, and you're listening to Jeff Smith on Boom Boom Clear. I mean, Veer. Oh my gosh, what happened?
It's vroom. It's not broom broom beer or bleer. It's vroom vroom veer. But thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry.
It's all good. All right. I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back. All right.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Zac Juergensen, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
Good. I can't complain. Glad to be here. I'm happy we were able to coordinate this and looking forward to creating this episode with you.
I'm looking at your headphones and they look eerily the same as mine. I just noticed
Hold
that.
on, let me look at
Did you get them off Amazon for like $40 or something?
Yeah, they were around a $40 price point. But yeah,
weird?
they work really great.
Yeah.
And they also have a 3/4 jack and then also
and they have separate inputs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
I think we have the same. Yeah, they're awesome.
Great minds think alike. What can I say, Jeff?
That worked out. Okay, so you are at DIY Wealth. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about in your business today over at DIY Wealth.
Yeah, so for people that don't know a lot about me right now, I left corporate world as of September 8th, 2021. And
wow. Okay. Recently.
Recently. And, people can't tell what age I am, because they're only listening to me over the airwaves, but I'm only 31. But basically I've created enough passive income for myself where I can kind of start focusing and doing the things I want to do in life. And one of the things I've always had a genuine passion for, you could talk to me for 30 minutes. I could talk about it for 5 hours, was financial things and how to get ahead in life. So that way you're not stuck in this constant rat race, which can very easily happen, as I talk about on higher philosophical levels in my podcast regarding capitalism, consumerism, this idea for more, do, achieve, rather than just sitting in your thoughts, identifying the things you want to do in life and really letting those creative juices flow. This is my creative outlet. This is my creative juice. I want to use my words. I want to motivate people to move in the right direction and change the trajectory of their life.
That's awesome. You're right. And when you get to where you are, and I can say where I am too, with money and passive income, then you realize things that you wouldn't have guessed when you were broke.
Right. Yeah. Like your brain definitely starts operating on a different level that a lot of people can operate on, because they're always worried about the things.
Yes, exactly. It takes a while, I will say. Like there's like when you first start getting into this realization of like, wow, I really don't need any more money. It's kind of weird.
Right. Like the thing is, there are some people out in the world that don't think about what enough is for them.
Right.
And so like they just keep going and going and going and going and going.
Figure out. Yeah. Right. Totally. Yeah. I was going to say like maybe later on we'll talk about it, but first we have to do the Vroom Vroom Veer thing, but we can tease it out. Like I want to talk to you about.
I like teasing people.
Yes. Teasing people is really good for podcasts and radio. Yes. So tease the shit out of everything. Yes. So later on we'll talk about like what you do for whatever you want to call it, like mindfulness or philosophy or some of the more deeper, the things that like you realize are actually important once you've solved the money check. Money is good. Check done. Yes. It's like,
now what?
Yeah, exactly. It's important because first off, you can't think about it like it's not like a weekend for the rest of your life. You'll get really bored really fast.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, so we just teased a couple of big things to talk about it down the road, but let's go back and talk about younger version of Zac wasting money like most people do. Yes, when you were in your early 20s and fucking around and just blowing money that you didn't even have. So
yeah. I mean, and you know,
I did that too, by the way.
No, yeah, that's true. I guarantee I did it, if not just as good as you, better than you.
Probably better, but we'll compare notes as we go.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I grew up in a household where money wasn't really talked about, and the reality of the situation was, my dad wasn't good with money, and his philosophy and mentality on life was, you don't have tomorrow. It's not guaranteed. Spend it as fast as you got it. Okay. I respect half of that equation. Okay. The other half of it was my mother, and my mother was ultra conservative with money to a point where probably investment opportunities were lost out on because of how conservative, but she had the foresight to go, I understand I might not be guaranteed tomorrow, but statistically I'm probably guaranteed tomorrow. Therefore, I should come up with a plan to secure my tomorrow. So both of them had very polarizing ideologies of what finance looked like, and it never got talked about.
Interesting.
And because of that, you know, me and my brother, you know, I erred more towards my father, and ironically enough, my brother erred more towards my mother growing up, and now we've actually inversed those roles regarding money management and stuff like that. But again, it wasn't talked about.
So you're the conservative one, and he's the going crazy.
I wouldn't call myself the conservative one. I would call myself an aggressive investment risk taker. Not aggressive. Aggressive isn't the right word.
You can be practically
diversified investor. And
there's nothing wrong with investing when you have time horizon, right? That's what everybody says. Right.
Correct. Yep.
We can explain that later on. So people are going over everybody's head, right?
So like, you know, didn't have a financial base to build off of, and, you know, ended up joining the Marine Corps. And
awesome.
From high school.
What'd you do in the Marine Corps? I was in the Air Force. So.
Oh, okay. Nice. I was a field radio operator.
Field radio operator. Holy shit.
For an artillery unit.
All right.
So that was,
I don't even know what that would look like now. I mean, so you're the guy that has to carry the big ass box on your backpack, and
you have that, and then you have people out on the front end, and then you have people out on the back end that are at.
Do you like set up? You set up a little control. Like a I don't know what you would call it, like a little rig out there in the field.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would have to set up antennas, make sure the radios are encrypted, and all of that stuff before you got to plug all the boxes. Yeah, fire missions and stuff like that. So of course, anytime anything went wrong and no one could communicate, like, you know, comms nobody. Comm.
Yeah, the thing about being in comm or computers is when it works, everybody ignores you.
Happy.
No.
Oh, ignores you. I like
totally
that. Ignores you.
That's exactly.
What the fuck are you doing?
Exactly.
Fix this.
It's like when things are going perfectly, they don't note it. They don't even know you're there.
I really like that.
That's your goal, right? To be anonymous,
ignored,
and ignored.
What a life goal.
It's true.
Sorry, we bunny trailed a little bit there, but I love it.
Good.
So just wasn't really taking life seriously. I wasn't applying myself. And again, I grew up in a household with child abuse happen. I had to testify against a court.
Wow.
Religion was used to weaponize me and my brother to hate my father because he had sexual preferences that didn't align with religious beliefs that we grew up in. And everyone on my mom's side of the family was threatened by that. And so what are we going to do? We're going to brainwash Nathan and Zach to fucking hate their dad because he has a different sexual preference. Like, that is not something cool to do to a child at all.
Wow.
So that coupled with, I could go really deep down this rabbit hole, but basically that's
a whole nother show that I
have plenty of childhood trauma. And the reason I bring it up briefly before I finish up the rest of that is, like, if you're someone that's struggling with trauma, if you're someone that's dealing with something and you're having this mental block, like, you don't even have to come to me about financial things. I can try and help you with these other things that I've had to jump hurdles over as well.
Yes.
Because life isn't beautiful if you're fucking dragging that around by your neck.
Right.
So anyway.
And you can get better.
you always want to be achieving, betterment. And
Right.
growth isn't linear. Sometimes you got to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward. Sometimes it's 3 steps back before you take a step forward. Like,
Right.
it's not linear, and just understand that it's part of the process.
Right.
But I just wasn't good with money. I wasn't applying myself to things because I didn't grow up in a good household. Lots of anger and rage and hate and violence that just permeated my life.
Sure.
And then now compound that on top of, the military. And again, like, the last thing on my mind, like, I don't fucking care whether I have $10 in my checking account or $5,000 in my
You're just
checking
not
account.
even thinking about it.
Like,
Right.
I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just like, well, okay, guys, we just got paid. Let's go to Myrtle Beach and blow all of our money this weekend. Let's get out of the barracks. Like, that's literally what we did, dude.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's literally what we did. And then you would go back and you're like, all right, fuck, I don't have any money. So I guess it's time for me to just eat at the chow hall and stay into, like, you like literally spending money to the point where I can't afford a Domino's pizza.
Right.
Like,
it's
nothing,
all gone. Yes.
Nothing. Yes,
Right.
Absolutely. Everything's gone. Sometimes overdrafting, and then now you're paying even more. So
right.
Unfortunately, my inflection point on I need to start getting a little more serious about my life and understand I need to have a plan, is when an individual we served overseas with, he lost his life. So did a bomb dog. And
wow,
it really hit me. I was like, he was 21, and I was like, holy shit. Like, tomorrow is not guaranteed to me.
Yeah.
Even if I don't give a fuck, tomorrow's not guaranteed to me.
Yeah.
If I do give a fuck, tomorrow's not guaranteed to me.
Right.
I need to understand, regardless of the emotions that I haven't even like figured out yet, because I'm still too young to be working on these things. I haven't realized it yet.
Right.
That I need to start coming up with a plan, because Lord knows I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, especially after going over there and doing that.
Right.
Some people continue to sign up. Hats off to them. We need people like you. I'm glad you can continue doing that. I knew that was not sustainable for me.
Right. Right.
So ended up getting back from the Marine, or from the deployment. I had one more year, and I was like, okay, like, was a lot.
I'm not re-upping.
Yeah, I'm not re-upping.
Right.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
I still haven't fully unboxed everything that happened over there, and why it happened, and why it happened to the people that it happened to.
Probably have PTSD, probably.
And like, I do. Like, it's just, did I go out and do the things that some of these other, like, MARSOC guys and stuff have done? No, absolutely not. But that doesn't allow, I think there's a narrative that's pushed really hard in America in general. And it's, if you're not an Army vet that's lost a leg or have watched someone die, you're not allowed to have PTSD. And that's just not true. Right. That is not true at all. And I think
my buddy
monopolized very heavily in America.
I have a friend, and we were both in the Air Force. We both retired. So we both, he was an E6 when he retired. I was a E7, right? But neither one of us saw combat. Neither one of us saw combat. He deployed more than I did, right? And he has PTSD. So, and that expressed itself in this sort of uncontrollable rage, right?
Yeah.
And that,
and he just people like that. You see people like that fly off the wheel,
right?
And the reason they're flying off the wheel is because society's not validating that it's okay that you have a problem.
Right.
And the narrative that's been pushed harder into their mind is, I'm not supposed to have a problem, even though I do have a problem, which is going to drive me to a breaking point.
It's crazy. It is. It's our normal is a little crazy. Yeah,
it is.
Right.
Wrapping up the rest of your question though. So I was just like, I need to figure something out. So I just started picking up books. I started reading journalism books, science books, like math books, like anything. I ended up landing on this fucking small little book called The Little Book on Big Dividends. Super easy read. And again, I come from a financial
book on big dividends. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a good find. I like it.
It's a super small read. I think it's like 97, 120 pages, something like that. And again, I come from a financial base of zero. Okay?
Right.
So I'm telling you right now, if you're listening to this episode and you want to start getting control of this stuff a little bit more, if you want to start, I like to call them, if you want to start getting control of these imaginary green things a little bit more.
So true.
It really is.
Yeah.
People don't realize it.
Right.
Especially because we got rid of the gold standard and all that. But anyway, so I read it and I was like, okay, all right. Even if I'm not 100% interested in this, like, this is a very cool concept to me. So I'll never forget. I ended up buying like 10 shares of Bank of America in 2011. Okay. Still have no idea what I'm doing. Absolutely none. But I'm just like, okay, Bank of America is a bank. Like,
yeah, I love it as it's 10 shares. That's good.
Yeah. 10. Oh, I remember this vividly. And so I'm going to paint this all out.
Okay.
So I ended up buying 10 shares of Bank of America. I was just like, okay, like, and I ended up buying them on Scottrade. Some people aren't even going to know what Scottrade is.
I've heard of
that
Scottrade.
doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't exist anymore. But yeah,
it got bought out by somebody.
It got absorbed. Yeah, exactly. And so I was, didn't do any due diligence, didn't study it. I was just like, it's a bank. Like, I know it's a bank. Sure. Like, banks make money. Like, so why wouldn't I want to invest in a bank? So I ended up investing in it. The whole day I'm watching the damn stock market, and I'm just watching it like a hawk because, again, I'm someone that spends all of my money. Okay. Now I have money and it's going up and down and up. And so when it's going up, I'm like, I'm a fucking genius. Like, I'm going to make so much goddamn money. And then later in the day, I look at it, it's down and I'm like, fuck, why did I do that? I could have spent it in Myrtle Beach or, anywhere else. Yeah. And so you're
on the emotional roller coaster.
The emotional roller coaster, which you get better at as you get better at investing, obviously. Right. But again, you don't know what you don't know. And you start feeling these things when you watch your imaginary green things go up and down.
Right.
Anyway, it closes at the end of the day, and I will never forget the number. I had $4.14 more than I had when I started in the day.
That's a win.
And again, it was a stupid small amount, but it clicked in my head. I was like, holy shit. Like, regardless, and I'm not, okay, I use this example sometimes. If I wanted to smoke a bunch of fucking weed today and do absolutely nothing, or I wanted to be the most productive human being in the world relative to everyone else tomorrow, different realities, same scenario. As long as I have money in assets making me money, it doesn't matter what I did today.
That's true.
It's
good point. Yes.
And I'm not saying like, oh shit, so I should just invest in money so I can go smoke weed all day and do nothing. I'm not saying that.
Hey,
the example I'm trying to paint there is yes, like you can literally do nothing or you can do everything, but it doesn't matter because you have an army of green things working for you to make more green things.
Correct. Yes. Well said.
Thank you. Can you tell I'm passionate about this stuff?
Well, I'm right there with you. So as we sort of like move forward in the story, I'm going to share a couple of really bonehead moves on my part.
Hell yeah!
Yeah,
here we go.
So
I'll match that energy.
There you go. Yes. Energy. So when I was in Hawaii, right? And let's just paint a picture of what was going on with me. So I think, like, I was kind of like a little bit of you and a little bit of your mom. Kind of like I had a little bit of both.
Yep.
So I was okay with saving, but knew nothing about investing. Right.
Okay.
So I would just take extra money and just put it in a savings account or something. Right.
Yep.
But I also got a credit card.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Right. And then I was like, I had this sort of like weird sort of desire that came from childhood to have something to play with that was sort of musical, right?
Okay.
And I landed on a keyboard, right? So I went out and spent, I think it was like $1,200 on a credit card for.
And what year was this?
Shit. It was like the early 90s.
Yeah, so $1,200 then is a lot more relative to today because of inflation.
It was like a real professional keyboard.
Yeah, you just went all in. You were like YOLO.
I was like, yeah, right. I was like, whatever. It's I don't know why. So anyway, I buy this toy, and I to this day never ever learned how to play piano or keyboard. Of course,
that's how it always works.
Right? But what I was playing with is fun because now, right? Now, flash forward, right? You don't really need to know how to play piano. Right. You don't even need the keyboard.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But then I was plugging into the keyboard into my computer and using a MIDI, right? So MIDI, yeah, right. MIDI was like this thing where you could play music from the computer on the keyboard and it would sound cool.
Yeah,
that's what I was playing with. It was sort of like nerding out with a keyboard that I didn't know how to play.
You would play like synth lines and things like that, right? Like that.
Yeah, MIDI was like this computer interface dealio that you could plug one end into the keyboard and another end into the computer, and then play shit from the computer into
alter the sound.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
you could program then like the keyboard from the computer and make it sound different. So the song was just, bits and bytes and stuff. It's just the song. Hey, that cough button works amazing. I haven't tried it yet.
Oh yeah. Now I'm coughing. Fuck you. God damn it. I was trying to do good for your show. And
That's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's a great button. It really helps with muting all of the weird noises that come out of my body.
There you go. You always have to have water whenever you go into a podcast.
Yeah, that's actually that was a rookie mistake on my end. I'm looking around at my setup here. Next time I need to have one glass of water.
You need to have water. Yeah. Anyway, so
learning has occurred.
So that was like one of my first screw up things, right? So $1,200 on a keyboard just to play with it. I ended up selling it and getting a little bit of money back. But the other thing I got into was strip joints.
Oh man, that's a dangerous game. Holy shit.
So
here we go.
That culminated in, so I got so used to just blowing so much money at strip joints in Hawaii that the strippers thought I actually had money. So they were right. So then like a bunch of them were like, what are you doing after? Right.
Oh,
and you already know.
Oh no.
So we go across the street and they order champagne and I'm paying the bill.
Of course. Sounds about right.
It was so hilarious. It's one of those things where at the time I just felt like such an idiot. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing?
No, yeah, that'll do it.
That was my wake up call. That was my wake up call.
That was your wake up call. Okay,
that was my wake up call. So I'll finish this story for like, I don't remember. So that was all in the like 90, 91, 92. In 93, I got married.
Okay.
Getting married, I had $12,000 of credit card debt.
Oh, okay.
In 93, yes, she knew about it and she accepted it. And thankfully, she's Japanese. And when we went, basically all the money that we got from the wedding and the party on her side, we used to pay off that debt.
I'm just curious. Like, I want you to finish your story, but it's just something that peeked into my head. So like, like Japanese wedding ceremonies, like how does that work? Like, do you have to like do you get gifted money for the ceremony?
It's a lot different.
More of a tradition?
Yeah, it's a lot different. So so the ceremony we didn't really do because we were already married legally.
Oh, okay.
So we skip over the ceremony. All we really did was the reception.
Gotcha. Okay.
So her parents spent something like $30,000-$40,000 on the reception.
Dang.
Right.
Just a reception.
Just a reception. Right.
That's quite the celebration.
You're renting a big ass room in a hotel and you're giving everybody that shows up gifts, and not cheap gifts, right?
Right.
Good gifts. And you're giving everybody money, not money, but really good food, right? Like really good food.
Yeah, quality stuff.
So that means that the gift that they give back to you is sort of commensurate with what they're getting from showing up, right? So it's sort of like a quid pro quo kind of system. They're basically paying cash for having attended this thing and getting the gift and getting the food, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So they're not giving like light gifts. So the return on investment, basically it's like her parents paid for the reception and then we get all the money.
Yeah, that sounds like a great deal.
It's instead of giving us that cash, they paid for the party and then we get the proceeds. Got it. Yeah. So we took those proceeds and it took me a while to convince my wife that it was a good idea to pay down that debt. And so she's one of those people that's like, yeah, but then we wouldn't have any savings. And I'm like, honey, savings don't make money and we're paying on this debt and the interest rate's higher and math says you should pay off the debt, right? And she's like, yeah, but then we wouldn't have any savings, right?
She just, wasn't registering.
Right, exactly. So
it happens.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my story.
No, that's a good one. Man, I'm trying to think of like where I royally just screwed up. I'll try and think of like a royal screw up.
Sure.
But I will say like the amount of money I've lost thinking I'm going to do really good at Forex trading, thinking I'm really going to be good at stock picking and swing trading, listening to like, listening to like these gurus that are like, I will send you a list in the email every Tuesday on the 10 stocks you should get into that are going to fucking, 600x, just like ridiculous promises. And of course, like,
never works out.
I want to get ahead. I want to get ahead, and I'm buying into this narrative enough. But I have done that enough where I can get on the airwaves and comfortably tell people, you're not going to be that person statistically. Statistically, you're not going to be this amazing day trader and become a fucking, like, I know the Wolf of Wall Street guy was conning people, but like there are people out there that can actually do what he's doing legally. Statistically, the odds of that happening is not likely. Am I telling you to not go chase your dreams? And if you feel like you're that person, go do it? Absolutely. I'm speaking on generalities. I'm speaking on a bell curve. And at the end of the day,
play the percentages.
Why the hell do I want to sit in front of a computer all day and day trade? It's still taking up all of my time. I'm just trading one job for another. The one that's really winning is the person that's able to step away from the computer, have money still spitting at them, and they have their time to go do the things they want to do in life. So for everyone that's thinking like, oh, like, cool, you make a lot of money. If you're still stuck plugged in front of a computer all day, are you really winning? Like, no, it depends on where your values lie. And I think there's a huge perversion in society that money is the end all and be all of success and happiness. It's not. It's just not. Not even close. Identifying what enough is for you. And you would be pleasantly surprised if you just took some time and had some uncomfortable conversations in your own head. Enough is probably a lot less than you thought.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. And that number is different for everybody. It's totally, there's a formula.
Unique as a fingerprint.
Exactly. There's a formula that you can use to figure it out, but the input is yours, right? You get to decide what the input number is.
Right. When I used it on my episode, on one or two of my episodes, like, if your idea of living your best life and your wealthiest life is driving around, North America, Canada, and South America in a truck and camping and going and visiting and doing and hiking and seeing all these amazing, you're going to require a lot less money than someone that wants to eat pizza naked on a yacht in the Mediterranean with a bunch of models. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yes. If you want a private island, you might need to make more money.
But neither one of those narratives is wrong.
Right. Exactly.
It's just a matter of identifying what you want to do in life
with your imaginary green things.
Society expects of you.
Right.
So anyway, and then I'm just trying to think. Let me come back and let me keep working on just an absolute royal mess up that I did financially.
I'm gonna go while you're thinking and letting your gears go. I want to say, like, my journey out of debt into sort of like wealth, right? Investing in a smart way, I guess, was really weird. It's just like random people coming out of nowhere saying, do this. And then I do that. And then do this. And then I do. So there's this dude, right? So what it's like being in the military, right? I had this staff job, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I was working in this one staff office, right? And so I had occasionally go to the other offices in the staff and chat with those guys, right? For whatever reason, right? For work. So there's this dude works in the history office. It's his job to put together the history for the unit, right? Every year, right?
All right.
This dude is exactly like me. Same rank. We're both E5s, right? Okay. We've both been in about the same time. And I'm just going down to his office to do a little whatever coordination. Get your boss to sign this for me. Yeah. And he says, hey, so what are you doing with your money?
Just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, right? And I'm like, nothing.
So let me ask you, I'm just curious, were you thinking about that at the time?
No. Not at all.
So he just asked
out of the blue.
Weren't even thinking out of the blue.
Out of the blue. All right, I said I'm maxing out my Roth IRA, right? Because that's where I was.
Solid step. It's still a solid step.
Still a solid step, right? And at that point, I was only maxing out my Roth IRA. I didn't even know my wife could do it too. So
okay. Oh, okay. Interesting.
And he said, "Okay, that's good. That's a good start." And then he says, "Motley Fool." Right?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever heard of Motley Fool?
Yeah, I read around on there. They've
changed a lot. They've changed a lot.
Yeah.
Back when they first started, they weren't selling anything.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
it
this
was
is like
probably
still
a decent
in
source.
Well, I would say their entree was wrong, right? They were big on the dividend thing that turned out to be a bad idea. It was data mining, but they admitted it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So their first thing was like this dividend thing where it's like you just do this. They had a little cheat sheet and you would go and buy these sort of like, they call them blue chips, right? And they would tell you like, here's a family of stocks. And you can pick any of these and just hold them and you'll be fine.
And you'll be fine. Yeah.
Right. And that wasn't perfect, right? Because they weren't telling you when to sell.
Yeah.
And
that's an important part of the equation.
Exactly. you need to know that. So, but then so I'd done that right. So the other piece of advice history guy said was, you should also be saving your other money too. So you get like another taxable brokerage account and put your other money that you don't need today in there too, because you're going to do way better than anything else. And I'm like, okay. So that was kind of like Motley Fool, max out both IRAs and then get another brokerage account. And that sort of like kept going forever. You know, I ran into him later on in 2003 or 2002 in Saudi Arabia on a deployment. We randomly got on the same bus. And he's like, how's your money?
Damn. Small world. Small world. That's a wild story.
Isn't that weird?
That's a wild story.
And I never hung out with this guy and never knew his phone number or his
how's
email.
Your money?
Yeah. He's like, hey man, how's your money?
That's crazy. That's such a good story.
Same dude. Yeah. And then the other random thing was, and my money was great already by that time. This other dude, I was getting ready to get out of the military in Hawaii with that $12,000 worth of debt. And I go to this bar and there's this random Army captain. And I'm telling him, I'm going to get out. I'm going to go to school. I've had enough in the military. And he's like, how's your money? And I'm like, oh, I'm like $12,000 in debt, but that's okay. I'll get a job. And he's like, you should re-up. And I'm like, why? He says, well, you sound smart, but you're still a dickweed.
You're still smart. You're smart, but you're still a dickweed. I love that.
Being a dickweed in his mind, I think, was like, you have no clue about what's happening, right? You're thoroughly clueless.
We
you need more time.
we have a term for that in my group of friends out here in Phoenix. We call it dumb smart.
Dumb smart. Yes.
You're really dumb in one area, but you're really smart in another area.
Right.
So we call it dumb. So
smart.
Everyone in my group of friends is dumb smart.
There you go.
Their own way.
They just haven't learned it yet. Right. They haven't been deprogrammed about the whole, like, the goal of life in America is to, let's see here. How do I like to put it? Spend money on shit you don't need with money you don't have. To
impress people that
you don't like
about you.
And you don't like. To impress people you don't know or like. Yes. Anyway.
What a dream.
Right. The American nightmare.
So literally. So I just remembered I got the royal fuck up story for you now.
See, there you go. That's why I was
there. It is. And now it's just like that. So I was doing pretty well in real estate. And so basically I did real estate from like 22 to 28. And then from 28 to 31, I did medical device sales. And then I left. I'm done. So I made a shift eventually, but at the height of my real estate stuff, I was doing pretty good, getting ready to hire like a junior agent, had a transaction coordinator, regularly producing at this point.
Right.
That didn't happen.
You learn how to make money. Right.
Yeah. My first year in real estate, I made 18 grand. Okay. So I don't want people thinking I've always been anointed with money. I haven't. Try living on 18 grand for a year and let me know how fucking it was. And then, it's hard, but 18 turned into 40 turned into 72, I kept hustling. I kept grinding. It's
a lot of work.
So anyway, I had a lot of money sitting in my checking account. I'm like, all right, I built this business. So now I know I can build other businesses.
Okay.
And so I started looking to buy a website. And so have you ever heard of BarkBox?
BarkBox, no.
So it's a dog box subscription company.
Oh, okay.
And so basically
it's like a franchisee thing?
Say again?
Like a franchise?
No. So let's say you have a dog and you you don't want to necessarily go to the store and pick out treats or pick out toys for them, but you want that stimulation for your dog.
Oh, gotcha.
So you just sign up, and then every month they send you a box of
box service for dog stuff.
Yes, it's a box. It's dog box subscription service. So anyway, there's this other guy on the internet working on his website called Better Barks, direct competitor.
Okay.
It was just like, this is a really good business model. Like, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at how fast the pet industry is growing and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, this is the move.
All right.
Anyway, I end up brokering a deal with the individual, and I spend $17,000 to purchase the company, own the rights, everything.
Okay.
Everything. And
so it's all the customers, it's the website,
all the customers, everything.
The whole
he gives me everything. And I'm like, fuck yeah, here we go.
Right.
And as soon the next week, I literally looked at everything and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know how to do internet on the back end internet stuff.
Right.
I don't know how to do the subscription stuff. How is he sourcing the toys? Like how do I efficiently systematize? Like,
wow. Right.
I didn't know what I didn't know,
Right.
And like that was,
you just thought it was like a money machine.
I thought was I was good at building this real estate business, therefore I'm good at building any business. And that's not the reality.
No.
You have to stay within your circle of competencies. You have to stay within your skill sets in order to scale and build a business appropriately. And so that was a literal $17,000 mistake I made.
Wow. So you just
didn't make any of that money back. None.
That's not,
I shouldn't say none. There were some people that, did the subscription, but like 1-star reviews started coming in. I was fucking up, and then all of a sudden people started unsubscribing, and like, so I got a little bit of that money back, but that was my largest financial blunder, hands down, and it was a very painful
and it probably killed you. Yeah, exactly, because
it was a very painful lesson, but it was a very important lesson.
Right.
And now, I've applied that with the podcast that I'm growing. I know my circle of competence is articulating. I have been selling things for many, many years. I'm good with my words. I use vocabulary. Now I need to couple that with, I ran my real estate business. What did I have to do in my real estate business? I had to understand, what are my fixed costs? What are the commissions coming in?
Right.
I have to take out for taxes. So now I've merged these two skill sets I have in order to build a good business that I know what I'm doing in, instead of just buying something that I have zero idea how to do, because that's not what that's not how I grew up. That's not within my circle of competencies.
Right. Wow. So how did you make the $1 million? Was that doing the?
So it's a slow roll.
Okay.
It's a slow roll. It's between slowly acquiring assets that are going to make me more money, and then also a constantly this commitment to increasing my income every year.
So did you?
And that didn't happen every year either.
Did you keep doing like the real estate after you screwed up the dog bark thing?
Yeah, no. The real estate was
kept going. Okay.
I was still full force in real estate,
Gotcha.
but I started falling out of love with real estate for other
it's a lot of work
reasons.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's not only a lot of work, but like, you got to understand, like, where I come from, like, my perception on how good we have it in America is very different than most Americans, because like most Americans don't go overseas and don't go see the shit I saw. And like, there is literally people in this world today that have to take 4 hours round trip to go get some water.
Right.
Like, even a homeless person in America has access to clean water in under 5 minutes.
Right.
And like,
That's another story, right?
I'm sitting there helping all of these fucking trophy wives, and they're bitching about doorknob handles. I almost had a contract fall out one time because of a bathtub plug. A bathtub plug. You're creating your own problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, based on the things I've seen in the world, this is absolute insanity, that you should be not grateful for all of the opportunities that are. So it really started, like, my purpose in life and my values really started clashing with my success in life.
Okay.
And I was like, I need to go somewhere else where I feel I'm solving a more real problem.
That makes sense.
So I ended up landing on medical device sales. It wasn't easy to get into. I tried for 9 months. I was applying to everything. I had the sales experience. I didn't have the medical experience. And finally someone took a chance on me. And I went from making $120,000 a year to $60,000 a year just to get in. It was an associate position. And you better believe I second guessed myself every day of the week, because I just lost half my income. And I was always wondering, what if I would have just stayed with that? But that's part of growing, and that's part of being uncomfortable. You question things, you're fearful, and that means you're moving in the right direction. So I ended up, doing that. And then I ended up moving over to a startup company for a few years. that company kept restructuring and restructuring and restructuring to a point where like it was making my job damn near impossible to perform at the level that was expected of me. So I just took a bow of leave. And now here I am. And, you know, even when I left my job, it was a little uncomfortable. You know, I was used to that corporate paycheck. You know, it was a little bit of an adjustment. It was uncomfortable, but now I'm stabilizing, and now this podcast is growing, and like I am so much happier. And guess what? Money isn't part of the equation at this point.
Right. You know, I have my journey was kind of crazy too. So like I retired from the Air Force when I was 38.
Okay.
And immediately got a job. Right. Just because I didn't know what to do. I kind of knew I didn't want to have a job, but I didn't know what to do about it. Right. So I spent a lot of time after I retired trying to figure out how to just have people give me money for doing, you know, whatever I want to do. Right. Good face.
I'm not following that thought. I'm not following that thought.
Good
Run
face.
that by me again.
So like, I just wanted the passive income. Right, I didn't actually want to do anything to make it come in.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, got it. Yeah, that's the end
that
goal,
doesn't
man.
work. That doesn't work.
Oh yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah,
that doesn't work. You actually have to learn how to do business, right? So So I had a friend / mentor / person I paid who was a blogger, and he was just, I think, the right kind of personality of writing and then back end web stuff and SEO expertise and luck to be able to like make this website get like huge Google response, right?
Okay.
And so that's, you know, kind of like all of those things together, he kind of caught lightning in a bottle, right?
Sure.
So that's kind of like what I was aspiring to do, but I realized pretty quickly that I didn't like writing, right? So I thought maybe I can do that with a podcast, right? Maybe I can monetize a podcast.
Right.
But then after I sort of like tried and failed, because that takes a really long time to actually monetize a podcast. Maybe not for you, because you actually you've had sales, right?
Well, not only have I had sales, but I think what a lot of people do is they focus on, I need to monetize the actual podcast. But one of the beautiful tools that has emerged is Patreon. And I don't know if you've heard of Patreon.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I've already, you know, the people supporting me on there, they're getting real value too.
Right.
I'm giving them exclusive episodes, exclusive content.
Right.
I'm helping, you know, the people that want one-on-one monthly coaching, if they want it monthly, quarterly, whatever. Some people don't care and they just mirror my Excel spreadsheet, which has all of my positions, all of my real estate deals.
Wow.
All of it. Yeah. So like people can just mirror that if they want.
Right.
And it's $10.56 a month. It's the cost of a Starbucks breakfast. But I think people get really hung up on, I need to learn how to monetize my podcast episodes versus I need to find people that my message is resonating with and they want to support it and help grow and build it. And if you can come from that frame of mindset and start a Patreon account and, you know, remember to plug that into your episode every week, you'll find people that genuinely just want to help you build what you're doing because they like the way you're thinking. They like the content you're producing.
Okay.
And you'll also find people that genuinely are going, hey, I like what you're saying. I like how imperfect you are, but how you've gotten to where you've gotten, I want your help.
Okay.
And that's what I've done to monetize it already. Do I plan on monetizing the episodes on the front and back end down the road? Absolutely. But like my downloads aren't there yet.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. You know, that's, I kind of struggled with that forever. Right. Have you ever heard of Mr. Money Mustache?
Oh,
yeah, Mr.
Love that guy. I saw him live. Live in what was that convention called?
Oh, I know
World Domination Summit up in Portland, Oregon.
I went to that one.
Did you go to the World Domination Summit?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
The first one, the one in Portland.
I saw him live. That was sick.
I was there. I didn't attend. So I was sort of like, what do you call that? Crashing it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we love crashers.
They wouldn't let me in. So they were like, no, you can't even come in the lobby. So it was in that downtown library. That's the one I went to.
Yep.
Because a bunch of my friends were there from that other guy. He had his own things.
Mm-hmm. There's that.
So
water.
Anyway, yeah.
When
when I found Mr. Money Mustache, I listened to him on Tim Ferriss's podcast.
Okay.
And I was like, oh shit. Right. And I went and did the math. right? I just went and said, my wife is sort of like checkbook queen. She's like in charge of the checkbook and the credit card to make sure that checkbook stays balanced and the credit card gets paid every month. And she also knows, and really quickly, how much we're spending. So I'm like, how much do we spend in a year? And she was like, man, let me figure that out. Right. And so she gave me this sticky with like the last 4 years. And I went, okay, cool. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to go with the high average and add some money to that and then do the calculation. So I took that spending number and did multiplied it by 25, just like Mr. Money Mustache says. And I'm like, well, shit, we're almost there.
Yeah, hot dog.
And the thing is I did the calculation without using my Air Force retirement, right?
Nice.
So I actually have
cherry on top.
Well, it's actually, my Air Force retirement is like half of the spending, right?
Oh, wow.
So now I have 2x of my number.
Yeah. Now you guys are living good, man. Congrats.
Not really, because our number's pretty small. So we're not so I've met now some people in the FIRE movement, right?
Yes.
So I would say I got lucky because I just sort of like Clouseau'd my ass into it,
Sure. Yeah.
I just woke up one day and went, oh shit, I have my money.
But that's the thing too. Like, I resonate highly with what you just said because like, people are like, what's your secret? How'd you do it? I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I just have slowly been continually stumbling into this.
Right.
There's been some intention there, but like to sit there and go 21-year-old Zach knew 100% what the fuck he was doing.
And you made it by 31, which is huge. That means that you had control on your spending.
There was
at some point.
Not only, yes, there was control on my spending 100%. There's also this goal setting mindset I have of, this is a recent goal setting. Before it used to just be, how do I make more money? Okay.
Right.
If that is your intention every year, if that's the goal you set every year, believe me, in this capitalistic market, there are ways you can make money, but it will be ensured that you will not have any of your time.
Right.
If all you want to do is make money, I guarantee you can do that, and all of your time will be taken from you.
Right.
You need to ask yourself 2 questions. How do I make more time? How do I make more money? And how do I get more of my time back? Right. You need to ask both of them synonymously. You can have all of your time back right now. Okay. Just throw your keys in your house and be homeless. You can have all of your time right now. That doesn't sound like the most comfortable life.
Doesn't sound fun.
It doesn't sound fun. You can have all the money in the world if you want to. Like I just told you how it will happen, but you're not going to have any of your time. You need to be asking both of those questions every year to achieve a better life.
Right. Right. Yeah. How much do I need? I think.
What's enough?
What's enough? Exactly.
What's enough? Because one can turn into 2.
Right. And what do we want to do? 2 can turn
into 5. 5 can turn into 10. 10 million to 15 million. 15 million to 20 million. 20 million to 100 million. 100. Like it never stops.
Right.
So you just need to sit down and go, what's enough for me?
So we teased out a couple of things.
Yes,
in the beginning. So we have to talk about those things because we're going to wrap up. And then when we wrap up, you're going to say your whole URL and you're going to.
I'll do all that because I got this super ridiculous long last name.
It's all good.
God hates me or something.
At least it's unique.
This guy's going to do a podcast. I'm going to give him the longest, hardest name to spell.
You need a shortcut URL. We'll work on that later. So let's see. So what do you do as far as like philosophy or maybe a mindfulness practice, something more spiritual?
Yeah. So to be honest, let's talk about failures. I haven't been doing as good as I want to be on meditating.
Yeah, me neither. But you've done it before.
I've done it before, right. And it's really hard to take 20 minutes and meditate, to truly meditate, right. To like literally. And even when I'm truly meditating, so to speak, I still have to focus on the thought of breathe in, breathe out.
Totally.
True transcendence meditation and things like that requires you to have no thoughts at all. Okay. Okay. All right. Fair. We can agree a little bit, or we can disagree a little bit there. But for me, I still have to have at least 2 thoughts: breathe in, breathe out.
That's perfect.
Breathe in,
that's perfect.
Breathe out. Yep.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, even just doing that, if you can do it, not look at your phone, not let things bother you, even if it is bothering you, acknowledge it very quickly and then come back to the breathing.
Right.
You come into this world in a renewed state and
Correct.
with more creative energy, more positive energy. You're vibrating higher. Like people can kind of feel that and sense that, versus people that aren't doing stuff like that or focusing on negative things in life.
Right.
Which is all I did in my early. Like I was filled with so much rage and hate. Like people don't understand. Like I literally stopped a car on the highway with my mother in the car because a car was following me too close and started slamming on this person's hood of this car. Like that's how much rage I had in my life. And it was controlling me. So I meditate. I'd like to start doing some breath work and stuff, but
I get it.
Are you able to edit this if this isn't appropriate?
It's all appropriate. I don't.
It's all appropriate. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Don't worry. Let me give you my take on meditation.
Okay. Yeah.
So first off, I think I understand where you're coming from. Like, I think that's probably one of the things that stops more people from trying to meditate. Like you can do it wrong and you have to have this perfectly no thought, quiet mind. Right. That's impossible and it never happens. Right. It's it may happen, but it only happens briefly. What I'm trying to say, I will agree with that. What I'm trying to say is that it's an ideal that's kind of impossible to walk around in this meditative trends and trends. Yeah, you can't do that.
Because we have streams of thoughts.
Yeah,
constantly.
And they don't stop. Right.
Right.
So that's not really. It's sort of like if you change the goal to just say, I want my mind to be more quiet every time I meditate. A little bit more quiet.
I like that.
Yeah,
it's a realistic goal.
It's a realistic goal. Yeah, it's not so. Like if I don't do it right, it's wrong, right? So what I like to think about is push-ups, right? So every time I take in a breath and I let it out and I take it in again and then my mind wanders and then I bring it back, that's the skill. That's one push-up. That is a set. That when your mind wanders, that a lot, actually. And then you go, oh, I noticed my mind wandering and now I'm breathing again. That's one push-up.
Yep.
The more push-ups you do, the more, you're better at the skill of meditation.
You get stronger, you get
better at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're learning a very important skill of noticing where your thoughts are and when they go away, right? And then you bring it back. That's what meditation is. That's to me.
You're just trying to observe the observer.
Correct. Yep. Correctamundo. Well, you want to look at your thoughts as something entertaining. It's like, oh, look at me thinking that.
Right. Yeah. Oh, how funny.
Exactly. Okay.
Let's silly monkey.
Stupid monkey.
Stupid monkey. Yeah. Yep.
And laugh. Every time you do it, you should have a little giggle and come at it lightly. Okay. So there we did it. We did it. And the other thing I wanted to say is stoicism is awesome. So I love reading things about stoicism. Yep. Oh, and my meditation practice has come down to, I listened to an audio book by David Lynch, which was awesome. And he's only got one, so go out and figure that out. I think it's got a weird title, of course, because it's David Lynch.
Hold on, you said I'm literally punching it into my computer right now. David Lynch audiobook?
Audiobook, yeah. Okay. And it's something about how to catch big fish or catch big fish.
This is on my list of books to read. Yeah. Yes, Catching the Big Fish. That's the big fish. It's on my list of things to read.
So just imagine, did you ever watch Twin Peaks?
I have not.
FBI Director Gordon Cole telling you about meditation. It's awesome. It's just the best thing ever.
Interesting. Okay.
So I hear his voice in my head now, and he talks about there's a unified field of consciousness. It's the best ever. You have to check out that. So when I wake up in the middle of the night at 2:00 in the morning, I hear David Lynch in my head going, "There's a unified field of consciousness." And then
that's good branding though. I mean, he's in your head rent free, man.
You can't get any better than that. Okay, so say your URL, say your podcast name. Yeah, so we'll wrap it up.
Yep. So basically, this is how you spell my name, and then I'm going to give you all of my handles and things like that. So
Roger.
ZACJUERGENSEN, and so ZacJuergensen.com. You can head over to so you can record questions over on my website.
Right.
You can direct message me on Instagram, again, spelled the same way, at Zac Juergensen. And then if you are interested in supporting the podcast and getting access to all my Excel or all my positions on an Excel spreadsheet that I update monthly, as well as one-on-one, financial coaching, trauma coaching, whatever you need help with, like, I'm here for you. And I try to make it a standard Netflix is $13.99. Okay. I'm $10.56. I'm cheaper than a standard Netflix, and it's going to help you move in a direction faster on designing the life you want to live.
I love that.
And again, that's patreon.com/Zac Juergensen. I am planning on potentially, this year with some goal setting, expanding maybe to a YouTube channel or to a different outlet. But
a lot more work.
Yes, way more work. So I haven't committed to that yet. But regardless, the driving factor here is if you're trying to find me, ZACJUERGENSEN, I will pop up in some fashion.
And we will link to all that good stuff, especially the website and maybe the podcast page on iTunes or wherever you like in the show notes. So that'll make it easier. So, Zac, this has been a blast. I know you're a busy dude. You got to go take care of that dog back there.
I gotta go figure out how to recoup my Better Barks loss.
I've lost more money on investments in that in like one fell swoop, so I don't feel so bad. You recover.
That makes me feel way better.
Yeah. I lost more than that on one thing.
And one final note for you talked about some of your fuck ups. I talked about some of my fuck ups. That's part of the process. Okay?
Totally.
You're not going to get it 100% right. And it's your ability to extract the lesson out of that failure.
Correct.
And come to the table with a more even-keeled balance on how to build wealth.
There's always a silver lining. You just have to find it.
You have to look at the bigger picture that's playing out.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's too hard.
Well, when you're in it, then you just have to go through it and process the emotion.
Exactly.
But once you get okay again, then you can find your pants and go, okay, what do I need to learn from here? This
right.
It's always your fault, by the way.
It always is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's no one else's fault.
No. Zac, this has been a blast.
Jeff, absolutely. We'll try and figure out something else on a later day, but I thoroughly enjoyed this episode with you, and I'm hoping,
maybe I can be on your show and you can come back on my show.
You and I, let's stay in communication and let's figure something out for another episode. We'll bring you over to mine.
Roger that. This has been a blast. All right, take it easy, man. Jeff. All right, later.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.